we're not right from a mental standpoint, if we're not taking care of ourselves physically, if we're not doing the work that we need to do spiritually, we're not whole. And when we're not whole, people can feel it. Like your clients can feel it. Your employees that work for you, they can feel it as well. As opposed to when you come into that room and you got that wind behind your back and you have that swag and you're excited about life, you're excited about the next project, the next thing that you're going after, people feel that and they want to connect with that. And you become more of a magnet versus a repellent. And when we're able to do that, this is when we do our best work, because now we're functioning better, because now we have more mental clarity. We don't have that brain fog anymore. We're able to push when we need to. But sometimes health means being able to scale back as well, right? Sometimes we may be working too much. Maybe after about 5 or 6 months of working 16, 17-hour days, we may want to take a nap. And that's part of it, right? Being able to understand when to push and when to scale back. I mean, that happened to me this week. I remember this week, we started out, and I just had like all the energy in the world, and I was really getting after it. And then there's just one day where I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just take the afternoon off. And we, as entrepreneurs, we feel guilty when we do that, because we tell ourselves, hey, we need to keep on pushing and we need to hit it hard. And that was the best thing I could have done, because I was able to take off and I came back and I was able to see everything clearer. I was able to go to the 50,000 square foot level versus looking at it from a day-to-day standpoint. So, and I think that's what health and wellness does for us. It gives us that balance, and it gives us an opportunity to fuel anything and everything that we want to lay our hands to.
Wow. So many bars. I mean, goodness. Max is right, because earlier this month, I took a short sabbatical in which I was headed to Atlanta to visit a friend. And I remembered Max was in Atlanta. So I was like, hey, are you going to be around, the first weekend in April? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm going to come by and see your fitness center, and we could just, chat and catch up. And he said, great. And so I came to Atlanta, and we visited and we talked for a few hours. Just a lot of things of what Max is just mentioning here about taking a break, taking a step back, making sure our health is up there with the importance of everything else that's going on in our business as well. And I will say that short time off that I did take, it was very helpful, because I feel like I've been very productive ever since. Welcome to the Analytical Rewired, the best place to discuss various obstacles, limitations, challenges, behaviors, and how to overcome them in business. We deep dive into the complexities of people, processes, data, and technology, PPDT, adopting our focus to be either technical or creative expressions, and how to balance the two. The Analytical Rewired is brought to you by the MJW Group, a performance improvement and leadership development boutique management consulting firm that helps companies save time and money leveraging operational excellence. Our mission is to enable your organization to be more successful by refining overarching strategies into detailed plans to be implemented, generate creative and technical solutions for your operational challenges, augment and supplement your existing teams, and help you create processes that allow you to be more efficient with the resources you have. You can learn more about the MJW Group on our website at themjwgrp.com. Welcome to the Analytical Rewired. I am your host, Jennifer White, CEO of the MJW Group. And today I have a very special guest with me, Max Nazir. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing, Jennifer?
I'm doing fabulous today. So I am excited to have Max on the podcast today. Here at the Analytical Rewired, we talk about all the challenges that business owners face, along with some challenges that our clients face as well. So we dig into what what rewires people, what wires their brain from a creative side and a technical side. So we're going to deep dive into some of those aspects here with Max today, as he talks about his business, Safe Haven Fitness. He's the owner of Safe Haven Fitness, located in Roswell, Georgia. So if you're ever in the area, make sure you check them out. But I will let Max introduce himself and give you a little more context about what it is that he does.
We provide a safe haven for people to reach their God-given potential through fitness and wellness. And when people come to us, pretty much they're usually at a low place and they're looking for a pick-me-up, they're looking for a change, they're looking for transformation. So, and we want to make sure that the person's looking for that transformation, that they feel safe in being able to pursue that and that they don't feel judged. And we give them all the tools and the resources and the support system to be able to accomplish any and every fitness and wellness goal that they can ever imagine.
Wow, that's awesome. So Max, how long have you been in business? How long have you been the owner of your establishment?
You know what? It goes back actually 2 decades. I started off as a one-on-one personal trainer in college. And at the time it was called Fit to the Max. And over the years, as we've grown and as we've evolved, the name changed from Fit to the Max to recently Safe Haven Fitness. So yeah, it's definitely been a ride for sure.
Yeah, definitely. How did you get involved in fitness in the first place? What led you there?
Well, it's actually a two-part story. I was an athlete always growing up. So from me, I've always had an interest in the body and how it works and, you know, the muscular system and everything happening internally and just figuring out ways to apply it. And sports was just a beautiful laboratory to be able to really test the body and to learn more about it and to discover things and just observing other people and also just experimenting upon myself as well. It was just something that I just always gravitated towards. And I always knew that fitness was just a great way for people to be healed, to be well, and to be whole. So I just always had a strong interest and a fascination for it more than anything else that I could ever remember. So that's the first part. The second part was this. When I went away to college, and again, I was an athlete, track and field was my sport, I actually had a heart attack. You know, I'm getting ready and I'm warming up and I had a heart attack. At 18 years old, I was one of the best conditioned athletes on the team. So it really came out of left field. It came out of nowhere. So it required me to have surgery. So the first time when I had surgery, I flatlined on the table. And I'll never forget it. They told me that if it wasn't for me pushing myself to live that healthy and active lifestyle, I want to survive the heart attack or the surgery. So long story short, I was on 3 different types of medications, 2 heart surgeries. And I tell you, the grace of God and my love of fitness is what allowed me to be able to be in front of you today and to really be victorious in that space. So after that, it was just like, all right, well, I found my purpose through it because going through that valley experience, it showed me, actually, it gave me a tremendous amount of empathy for other people who are also struggling with their fitness and wellness. So between being an athlete and having that mountaintop experience, but then also having that valley experience with the heart attack, it just gave me a wide perspective where I can kind of meet clients wherever they're at on that journey and then help them get out that valley and to essentially propel them to the mountaintop.
Right, right. Oh, wow. That is an amazing testimonial. I think I have heard you mention that before, what happened to you at such a very, very young age. I mean, no one would ever think that would happen because you usually hear, you know, people of older age or there's other pre-existing conditions that may lead to, you know, heart failure of the sort. So, wow, that's amazing that you were able to overcome that at such a young age. And now you just, I could see it in you just light up because you're so passionate about fitness and helping people overcome obstacles and challenges like you mentioned, and then progress into their adult life, right? And you and I met because we took part in I don't know if I want to call it a leadership program. I think it was more of a like accelerator program for business owners, the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. Max and I are now alumni of that program. That's where we met last year. And I remember hearing you talk about some of the things that you wanted to do with your clients that are of the older generation, of the older age. So do you mind talking about that a little bit?
Yes. So initially when I got started, I worked with any and everybody, right? Because I was just passionate about helping people. But then over the years, you start seeing trends and you start recognizing things. And the thing that I recognized was that the people that really appreciated the type of service that we provided were people who were a more mature client, right? People who were in their 50s, their 60s, and even in their 70s. So after just speaking to my clients and just doing some analyzing, I realized the reason why they were so attractive was because number one, we always were progressive with our programs, right? So we didn't throw everything in the kitchen sink at them like a lot of other coaches do. We always made sure we sat down with them. We learned more about what their goals were. We found out what their exercise history was. We would take them through an assessment. And then from create a program that was made for them and that was tailor-made towards their needs. And then we would progressively walk them towards that. And I mean, they would start from zero or from school, whatever you want to call it, right? And they would be able to overcome and do amazing things because we just made sure we met them where they were at, and every them take that next step. And then, those steps, they add up. So for us, it just made sense to say, hey, you know what, this is who we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on, again, a more mature demographic who really appreciate the value of health and wellness, because I think a lot of times when we get to the latter part of our life versus the earlier part of our life, we value our health more than anything. Because remember, when I had my heart attack at 18, prior to that, I took my health for granted. I'm not ashamed to say that. It's the honest truth. I took it for granted. I was an athlete, never had issues. And then just like that, things changed. So I think it just made me change my whole perspective. And as a result, I can relate to that mature clientele because I know the thought that they're having. Like, they're thinking about long life, they're thinking about longevity. And I think it's a little slight difference in terms of mentality versus someone. We support that as well. But I've always gravitated and appreciated the people that said, hey, you know what? I want to live a healthy and active lifestyle because it's going to enhance my quality of life. It's going to allow me to fulfill my purpose, and it's going to make me the best version of myself.
Wow. So many bars you just dropped right there with that. And you're exactly right. I don't think a lot of the times when we're younger, we do take our health for granted because we're like, oh my God, everybody else is so old and I have all this time. And the more birthdays you have, I think you realize time is not necessarily on my side all that much. You got to make the best of the time that you definitely do have, right? And that means making the right choices every day that you get up, because I always think like there's so many doors every day that we wake up, and it's up to us to choose which door we're gonna, open that day, because it can lead you down a path that could be totally off from where you were thinking the day before. So every day we definitely have a choice to take our health more seriously, watch what we're eating, make sure we're staying active. I know today I've only walked 876 steps, which is very bad. Very, very bad. So I need to walk around a little bit more. Early. You'll make it up. I know. I will try my hardest to make it up. But it's funny because, like I said, you and I are connected through the Goldman Sachs program for small businesses. And as a small business owner, it is tough some days. Some days I am at this screen like all day. You're probably with your clients all day, and it's hard to really choose those doors, as I was mentioning, that you really want to do that day, because sometimes you can't, right? You get thrown curveballs in your business. So what are some ways people, I guess business owners, or people in general, like if they're working a lot and they want to take their health more serious, how would you direct them to do that?
That's a great question. And the best way I could put it is this. I'm going to use a rap example. So are you a fan of Jay-Z?
Yeah.
Okay, so he has a line in one of his songs where he says, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. And when he says that, what he's really saying is that, like, we are the business. Like, I get it. Like, we're building these businesses and we're creating systems and processes and procedures. But for a lot of times, like, we are the ones that are driving these businesses because we're the CEO, we're the charismatic founder, or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
So because we are the ones that are driving the business, is apparent and it's imperative. And being able to have that energy really comes down to us taking care of ourselves, right? Because if we're not right from a mental standpoint, if we're not taking care of ourselves physically, if we're not doing the work that we need to do spiritually, we're not whole. And when we're not whole, people can feel it. Like your clients can feel it. Your employees that work for you, they can feel it as well. As opposed to when you come into that room and you got that wind behind your back and you have that swag and you're excited about life, you're excited about the next project, the next thing that you're going after, people feel that and they want to connect with that. And you become more of a magnet versus a repellent. And when we're able to do that, this is when we do our best work, because now we're functioning better, because now we have more mental clarity. We don't have that brain fog anymore. We're able to push when we need to. But sometimes health means being able to scale back as well, right? Sometimes we may be working too much. Maybe after about 5 or 6 months of working 16, 17-hour days, we may want to take a nap. And that's part of it, right? Being able to understand when to push and when to scale back. I mean, that happened to me this week. I remember this week, we started out, and I mean, I just had like all the energy in the world and I was really getting after it. And then there's just one day where I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just take the afternoon off. And we, as entrepreneurs, we feel guilty when we do that, because we tell ourselves, hey, we need to keep on pushing and we need to hit it hard. And that was the best thing I could have done, because I was able to take off and I came back and I was able to see everything clearer. I was able to go to the 50,000 square foot level versus looking at it from a day-to-day standpoint. So, and I think that's what health and wellness does for us. It gives us that balance, and it gives us an opportunity to fuel anything and everything that we want to lay our hands to.
Wow. So many bars. I mean, goodness. Max is right, because earlier this month, I took a short sabbatical in which I was headed to Atlanta to visit a friend. And I remembered Max was in Atlanta. So I was like, hey, are you going to be around, the first weekend in April? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm going to come by and see your fitness center, and we could just, chat and catch up. And he said, great. And so I came to Atlanta, and we visited and we talked for a few hours. Just a lot of things of what Max is just mentioning here about taking a break, taking a step back, making sure our health is up there with the importance of everything else that's going on in our business as well. And I will say that short time off that I did take, it was very helpful, because I feel like I've been very productive ever since. And I feel like if I didn't take that little short time off, I would be very sluggish, non-responsive, just not really myself. So I don't think sometimes we realize our body and our mind needs to recalibrate, and you can only push yourself so much. So
well said.
Yeah, exactly. So how have you seen the fitness industry change? So you talked about being in it for 2 decades now, how have you seen it shift over the years? And then I guess more so lately with the pandemic, how have things changed?
Ooh, that's such a loaded question. Uh, um, if I had to kind of stay high level, I would say one of the biggest changes is just technology in terms of media and how people acquired information from a fitness standpoint. I think also just again technology, right? People have the Fitbits now, and they have the different type of trackers where they can track everything from how many steps they get in to sleep. I mean, you pull out your tracker.
Yeah.
I have this amount of steps today, so that we weren't doing that 20 years ago, and like we had the pedometers, like the old school ones, but you know, it wasn't on the same level as like what Fitbit and some of these other companies are doing right now. So I think that's been a big change. So I think people are more aware. And I think also from a cultural standpoint, fitness is more widely accepted because back in the day, like 20 years ago, and I think we had this conversation when you were down in Atlanta, right? Like in the past, like you couldn't go to Walmart and find protein and find like, these different vitamins and things like that. You had to go to a Whole Foods or like a special store to find these things. Now it's so readily available that like we all have an opportunity to be healthier and to live that healthy and active lifestyle. And it's so much accessible. And I think that's like the great thing that's happened over the last 20 years. Just the fact that fitness is no longer reserved for the health nut, but that is accessible to all who want it, right? So that's the positive, all right? If I had to kind of look at maybe something that, I don't know if I want to call it negative, but something that I kind of don't really appreciate too much. I think that a lot of times now there's a lot of mythology that's being put out there in terms of what fitness looks like. And what I mean by that is when you go on Instagram and you have people who maybe they have the physique, they may be genetically gifted, and they'll, throw out some type of crazy type of workout that's not really sustainable or maintainable for the average person, but they make you think that's what health and wellness has to look like, So I think that there's a lot of people who are essentially faking for the gram, right? So, so that's the aspect that I don't like, but I love the fact that people are more excited about fitness more than ever. I love the fact that there's more conversations around it. And I love the idea that people are pursuing their best life through fitness and wellness. So I think overall, definitely some positive things that's happened over the last few years and even over the last couple of decades.
Yeah, I agree with all of those as well. And I do see what you mean about social media, right? Because we didn't really, I guess social media has been around for almost 20 years now. We had MySpace 20 years ago. So that was like the first one that lets people know, date how old Max and I are. But yeah, so I think it is painting a facade of what, fitness or healthy looks like. And even if you think about like the body mass index, I mean, people are living a lot longer than they historically have that aren't overweight, that don't look, 120 pounds, 130 pounds at their, whatever their height is, And so it's like, should we relook at the body mass index? Should we relook at all the, we learned about the 5 food groups. I mean, how do we change that perception? Because that's still taught in schools today.
Well, you know what? It's funny. And I mean, this is probably something we could do a podcast on another day. Like, seriously speaking, I remember, and I mean, I'm not a very confrontational kind of a person. Like, but I remember when I was in school, I almost had that with my professor about the body mass index because I was like, well, first things first, I think that, it doesn't represent the culture, if you know what I mean. But I think also too, the body mass index, I always felt like it didn't take into consideration all the aspects of fitness and wellness. I think it was a very one-sided way to look at the whole fitness and wellness continuum. So if you want to use the body mass index, that's great. But I think using that and just that alone can be very dangerous because you're going to overlook a lot of different things. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a running back, right? Plays football. You know, he's 5'9" and he's 225. Based off of the body mass index or the BMI, that person will be considered obese. But if you use other parameters and you look at it and the gentleman is 6% body fat, now you have a better context to be able to look at that body mass index. But again, that's something that we can do like, you know, in another podcast for sure.
Yeah, but I think it goes back to the perception that's being painted, like you're saying. And I think we need to do a better job as a community, as a culture, to really educate on, you know, the differences and the reasons why, and just like you said, things to look for other than just looking at that one particular chart. So definitely. What would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in business thus far? Trick question.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a trick question, but I think when it comes down to business, the thing I've learned is all about keeping it simple as you can. You know, business can get very murky and can get complex, especially when you introduce people into a business. A business is simple until you introduce people to it, right? But with that being said, I think what it really comes down to is taking care of people, you know, taking care of your clients, taking care of your employees, taking care of the vendors that you work with that help you to provide the service or the product that you have, taking care of joint ventures, making sure that you're creating those win-win relationships. But I think that's what it really all comes down to. It comes down to people. If you take care of people, usually that allows you to make it easy for the business to be successful.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, your business is definitely people-centric. You have to tailor some things for specific types of clients, right? The workouts, maybe their eating regimens, their habits that they're pursuing all day, every day to get the type of results that they're looking for. So I can definitely see how people is at the center of everything in your business, whether it's your clients or your internal team that you're continuing to grow as well. So I love that. Definitely love that. At what point do you like to tell your clients to reach out to you? If someone's looking for a change in their life and they're not sure what that change really means for their health right now, when would you suggest that someone like that should reach out to you?
I would say anytime, really, right? You know, for us, you know, it's always about just keeping the lines of communication open and having healthy dialogue with people. So at any point in time, what I would say for someone that's really ready for help and they need that coach to help them get to the next place of their fitness and wellness journey, it would be the point in time when that individual is sick and tired of spinning their wheels and they're ready to start taking steps towards living their best life through fitness and wellness, towards reaching their maximum potential, again, through fitness and wellness. Because when that person is fit, when that person is healthy, when that person is well, everything else in life becomes so much more attainable. So when that person is ready to get to that step and that point in life, that's when we welcome them with open arms.
Love it, love it. And with what you just mentioned, can you touch on, because I keep thinking not only is the physical aspect, right, of our health, like you mentioned, when they're ready, and that could be any time. So there's a mental aspect as well. To me, I think it goes hand in hand, but I could be totally wrong. So can you touch on the mental aspect of fitness and health as well, and wellness?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I believe in the spiritual, mental, and the physical. And I'm speaking to the mental. There's such a deep connection, and I think a lot of times it's hard for people to articulate that, but that connection is definitely there. There's so much science that backs this, but then also they're just living it, right, and having that experience where, you know, when you're exercising and the blood is flowing and everything is circulating, it does allow you to think clearly. It does allow you to be able to manage stress. And then even just exercise and how it releases certain hormones, you know? So there's a deeper level of connection that I think a lot of times people may not be taken advantage of if they opt out of pursuing their fitness and wellness journey.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, that's true. On days where I'm just not feeling it, no matter like even if my body wants to do certain things, my mind is like, no, we're not doing that. So so there's definitely an intuitiveness that it's all connected. All three of those things are definitely connected. Yeah. What are one or two things you've had to definitely rewire or change, like your mindset about your business since you started it?
I would say the adjustment that I've had to make was really just keeping up with where people are at, right? I think a lot of times as business owners, we have like these very strong ideas in terms of what's going to serve the market and what's going to serve the population. Mm-hmm. And I think it's great because that's what makes us entrepreneurs, because we're the drivers, we're the creators, we're the innovators, right? So I think there's a lot of value in that. We don't want to let that go. But I think we should always leave that window open to being able to understand where clients are and then being able to help them, right? So I think you have those two sides and being able to manage both, right? You have someone like Steve Jobs, right, who has Apple, right? He didn't survey clients and then or customers and then say, okay, this is what we're going to create. Like he was able to be a visionary and see into the future and say, this is what we're going to create that's going to be able to change the world. So you want to hold on to that. But then there's that practicality as well, where it's like, okay, Miss Jones needs more help in terms of nutrition, or Miss Jones, she needs more help from a mindset standpoint, or Miss Jones needs to be able to understand, like, how can she take those small steps that's going to allow her to perform better on a day by day basis. Or Miss Jones, she can't lose weight right now because her knee and her back hurts. And that's like the primary thing we need to focus on first before we can address weight loss. So I think it's developing that fine balance between being the visionary, being the innovator, and getting ahead of people, but then also walking side by side with them and getting them right where they're at.
Bars. I love that. I definitely love that. And I don't think sometimes people realize those personality tests, sometimes they are kind of helpful. Sometimes they're not, but for the most part, they are, because it lets you assess not only who you are, but if you're working with somebody, especially if you're working with clients or customers, how they may react or respond to what you're suggesting. So like you talked about being the builder, the innovator, like with Steve Jobs, like an innovator or a dreamer rather, they don't really ask questions. They just see it and they're like, I want this to happen. I want it to happen now. And then they go find those people that can make it happen. So it's the same way with, I think, in our businesses as well. Sometimes we may not be the right fit for a client. I know we've had that happen where we will refer them to someone else because where they are in their life, they may not be receptive to what your message is. And sometimes that it's just that. It's not the right time for them to work with you based on where you are. But I am glad that you did point out there is some different personalities and different ways to collaborate together, because you encounter all walks of types of people every day, right? And I'm sure every client you've ever had, like, there isn't anyone that's exactly the same.
Yep, as unique as snowflakes.
I love that. I love that analogy. Exactly. As we wrap up here today, Max, is there anything you like to share with the audience or give them? Don't know if you have like any freebies or if anyone wants to, come check you guys out.
Oh, well, absolutely. Well, I think first things first, I just want to share with people that, never take life for granted. Every day is a blessing. Every day is an opportunity to do the work, to do the best work, and to have fulfillment in knowing that you gave the best of yourself to the day, So that's the first thing that I will say. Secondly, as a fitness and wellness company, we love helping people, again, to reach their top-notch ability through fitness and through wellness. So what I'm going to do, just for your group, Jennifer, and everyone who's listening and watching the podcast, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give everyone a free 7-day jumpstart and a free success blueprint as well. So what we'll end up doing is we're going to give people an opportunity to be able to walk through our services, whether they are in the Roswell area in Georgia. And if you can't get to us, we'll train you virtually. One thing that COVID taught us, it taught us how to pivot and how to meet people where they're at. So anywhere that you're at in the world, if you need help with your fitness and wellness, again, we're Safe Haven Fitness, and we're just welcoming you with open arms. We'll meet you right where you're at. We'll figure out what your goals are, what the challenges have been in the past, and then we're going to construct a plan. We're going to be very operational like Jennifer and make sure that we have those checks and balances to ensure that you're going to be successful, and we're going to set you up for success. By the way, Jennifer, I just want to say that I'm so glad we got to not only meet through Goldman Sachs, but then also that the one-on-one where we're able to connect in Atlanta. I mean, just someone like you who's sharp, who's innovative, who's bright, who looks at things from a very technical standpoint, but also is extremely personable. It's been everything to me. So I really appreciate you, making that effort and coming down and meeting me. And I can't wait to come up to Charlotte to hang out with you.
Definitely. We would be glad to have you come up here to the Queen City for sure. And you are very welcome. It was so great to connect with you earlier this month as well. And I look forward to doing more things like that because I feel we can always learn from each other, right? And think about things differently in our business, how we work with people. Again, we're like both service-based companies, so it's very people-centered, and I definitely learned a lot from you during our short time, earlier this month as well. So I definitely appreciate that, Max.
Yeah, me as well. I learned a lot from you, just sitting down and talking to you. So that was great.
Yeah. So with the offer that you just gave the Analytical Rewired audience, how do they take advantage of that offer? Is there a link or an email or contact us page that they can tap into?
Yeah, I'll definitely send you the link, but it's RoswellGAPersonaltraining.com. So that's ROSEWELLE. I'm sorry. ROSWELGA personaltraining.com. So that's RoswellGAPersonaltraining.com.
Okay. And I will definitely make sure to put that in the show notes for everyone. And is that the best way for the audience to reach out to you as well? Or is there another method?
So they can find me at RoswellGAPersonaltraining.com. Also, we're all over social media. So on Facebook, you can find me at Maxim Nazare, MAXIMNAZAIRE. Also, you can do Safe Haven Fitness. You'll be able to find us on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, just about any social media platform. We're starting to do more TikTok now. So having fun with that. So you can check us out on TikTok as well. So we're open. We want to make sure we're able to connect with people and help them right where they're at.
Perfect. I'll definitely make sure to connect all those avenues so you guys can reach out to Max at Safe Haven Fitness as well. Max, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Definitely enjoyed this conversation. It felt like a continuation of our conversation a few weeks ago, honestly. And you're always welcome to come back to the show whenever you want. Maybe we can talk more in depth about that body mass index and some myths, right? You talk about the different myths of the industry, so I'm sure more people would want to know the right things to be on the lookout for. So thanks again so much. Everyone, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Analytical Rewired on our YouTube channel. And again, thank you, Max. I hope you have a wonderful day and continued blessings for you and your business as well.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks for having me.
You're definitely welcome. All right. See you soon, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.